Okay, right, Lupins. It's a type of caterpillar made out of strawberry laces and a tortoise urine. Right, Lupins. A little bit of information and then some details of how to look after them, how to plant them, how to deadhead, that sort of thing. Firstly, lupins. Obviously that's what a lupin looks like. It's got a nice strong flower stem, very good at resisting wind. You won't generally need to stake them like you would a delphinium. They have individual flowers all the way along here. They're a member of the pea family. They produce their own nitrogen. They basically produce pods underneath the ground, which means they bring nitrogen into the plant, put it underneath the ground so other plants that need nitrogen like roses and other crops like squashes and stuff can feed off of the ground. So they're a good companion plant. They're susceptible for a few pests and diseases. They can get mildew at some points, and if you're not organic you can get a few fungicides for that. And they also suffer from aphids because they're quite high in food, so aphids try and get on them to eat. So early on in the season you might need to spray. They do some organic sprays as well now. You might also at the very start of the year realise that when the first initial leaves come up, they will start to get attacked by slugs and snails if you've got that as a problem. So you might need to either put some pellets round, maybe put some gravel round them to sort of try and put off the slugs and snails going near the plants in the first place. I've got some wool from sort of sheep that you can do the pellet things and put them around. It gets stuck on slugs and snails to put them off. In terms of them, because they are pea family, they don't like their roots disturbed at all. Ideally you put them in the ground in the place you want them, and then you leave them there for the eternity of their lives. You don't really want to move them. If you do move them, you need to move them in the autumn, because that's when they start to die back again and they can handle being moved easier. But ideally you need to leave them where they are. The main reason for this is because they're a member of the pea family. They produce very deep roots, and a lot of them, so when you dig them up it's very hard to dig the plant up with all the roots attached. So that's the main reason why you don't want to move them. But as you can see, they flower well. I'll take you through deadheading and why and how to deadhead in a bit. And yeah, that's your basic guideline, and that's it. And I'm going to get up in a second and show you how to deadhead and why you deadhead as you do. Right, thank you. Right, so deadheading lupins. Now the idea is that if too much of the lupin ends up going to seed, if I pick one off here, this one here has already gone to seed. Now because it's got seeds in it, the plant doesn't necessarily want to really bother to make any more seeds. Obviously I don't think like we do, but the whole purpose of the plant is to reproduce, and once it's got too many seeds on, it doesn't want to produce more flowers because it's already got the seeds, so there's no point producing more flowers. So although this seems a bit drastic at first, if I cut this off, this is early. You don't normally have to cut them off this early, but I want to show you on this stem for an example. Right. As you can see, there's flowers coming up here and some new ones there, but it's already started to brown here and it's already started to produce seeds. So this, as I say, is early to take it off. You can strip it off and then let it go further and further up the stem, but there's already a lot of flowers coming on it. As you can see, deadheading early means it does produce more and more flowers. But as I'm saying, this is about the earliest you'd ever possibly take a lupin off. But I want to show you this as an example that you can strip the flowers off. So it's a little bit wasteful taking them off because you can just take the seeds off that have already gone. But I want to show you that as an example of how that although this one hasn't even finished flowering, this one here at the bottom has already gone to seed. So ideally you don't want to leave too many seeds on, because then it's going to stop producing flowers. earlier on in the video, if you don't remove the seeds, the plant thinks it's got seeds on it, and then it stops trying to produce these flowers that carry on later on in the year. Because there's no point having a lupin that only has one flower on it for the year, because if you keep deadheading, it will keep flowering and producing more flowers. Explanation now, saying about not wanting to move a lupin. Now what's happened is over there, which you can't see but you'll see it in the B-roll at some point in the video, I planted this next to a lupin called Masterpiece, which is a strong sort of reddish purple. The trouble is this lupin turned out to be the same type of lupin. It's one of the West Country hybrids, but it turned out to be Persian slipper, so it's completely wrong colour, so I've ended up moving it at a very hot time of year. Now because they really do not like being moved, and I planted it very early spring, it already has its roots developed, so I've moved it at a bad time. Now to protect it and to try and get it to survive, because it is difficult this time of year, I've covered it in my sheep's wool clothing to try and keep the sun off of it. Although they do like full sun and they grow best in full sun, to try and encourage it to carry on so it doesn't get too much of the sun at the moment while it's still establishing, I've got a couple of chairs, and then I'm laying that across to take the heat of the sun off of it, and then every single night I sprinkle water all over the leaves and all around the base to try and keep as much water as possible, because if the leaves dry out too much or shrivel, and then it would die back to the stem, it will probably still survive, but then I'll have to wait until next year to have a plant. So for about 3 to 4 weeks I would do this and cover it up, and then by the end of the summer it would have re-rooted itself, it would be happy again, and I can just leave it to fend for itself. But obviously the first year with lupins you want to give them plenty of water until they get established and their roots down, and then after that point you shouldn't need to water them too much at all anymore. Okay.